Много бегает, вот сдалека, с дистанции бьет. Такого высокого соперника у нас не было. 193 сантиметра.
Высокий, да.
Да, более 190 рост, руки длинные, ноги длинные, выбрасывает. Ну, опять-таки, надо будет за ним бегать, собирать его. Надо будет хватать, собирать, валить. Тяжелый бой будет. И скоро 35.
Он 91 уже года, да, получается?
91 октября, скоро 35 будет. Все вместе, стилистический возраст, это все, я считаю, что будет тяжелый бой. Ну, не легкий бой. Ну, я всегда их готовлю к тяжелому бою. И Умара, и Усмана, и Ислама. Я им всегда говорю, на вас, ребята, настраиваются по-другому. На вас, ребята, настраиваются вообще по-другому. Это всегда так бывает. Если они готовились бы на условно там на Пратиса или Моралеса, они бы готовились по-другому. Там, а здесь уже у них энергетика, все. Если они проявят себя.
Do you think that Ian Garry stands a cat's chance in hell against Islam Makhachev, okay? He might need to go to Dagestan for 200 or 300 years and then forget about it because Islam Makhachev is a wrestling monster, okay? Or does Ian Garry float like a butterfly, sting like a bee? Or does he pick him apart with a jab, right? Use those head kicks.
My point is, sure, Ian Garry's got a shot. He can run around, he can do all these things. And he could, he could outpoint him, or he could potentially catch him with something on the way in if Islam gets frustrated and can't get his hands on him.
Ian wins this fight. His landing the shots end up hurting him to finish him.
I agree. The best chance he has, though, is to run and frustrate Islam into bad shots, bad takedowns, also bad throat strikes on the feet because you're overreaching. Because Islam is used to dominating. He wants to run and go in there and just take him down, submit him, or beat him up on the feet. And if this fight is just slow and it's boring, Islam will make some mistakes.
That's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to control the airspace, and he's going to stay on his footwork. He's going to jab the glove a lot, and he's going to move, and he's going to have to make Islam throw some heavy shots to get his attention, and then blast through him.
Obviously, Dagestan and Ireland have a bit of history with Khabib and Conor. Obviously, Paul Hughes and Usman over in PFL. You're preparing for another Irishman yourself. What do you make of he as an opponent and kind of carrying on that rivalry between countries?
This is just like a regular opponent, nothing some between country, but still we have 2-0 now. It's going to be 3-0.
Is Ian any different than your past opponents? Because obviously he's very tall, he's very rangy. He can make the fight slow if he wants to. What do you make of his skill set?
His skills, I just have to run in this camp too much because I have to follow him because he runs too much, I know his game plan.
I believe in Ian Garry more than he believes in him. The way that Ian portrays and talks about he believes in himself, I actually believe in him that way. He's a young guy and he's using the media as a way to help to convince himself. But I actually think he's that good. I actually think Ian Garry can beat Islam. Now, I'm not predicting for you that he's going to, or we'll get to that as this fight gets closer, but I'm sharing for you he can. And Ian Garry is a pain in the ass. And this whole thing that he can't wrestle, go ask Rachmanov if that's true. Or this whole thing that you can take Ian's back and finish him. Well, go ask Rachmanov if that's true. Or anybody else that Ian's ever fought or anyone else that's ever had his back. Because none of them ever finished him. But he's going to be to Islam what Conor was to Aldo.
A couple weeks out from your title defense against Ian Machado Garry at Philly. How has camp been? How's preparation been? What do you make of Ian as an opponent?
Yeah, everything is going very well. We stay in the same gym like last couple of fights. We stay in New Jersey, training in Nakata on MMA. It's very nice gym. I have too many brothers and friends and sparring partner with me. Almost all team is here. We're training together. Habib is here, Javier is here, Training every day, very hard to be ready.
Usually one a year for Islam. Like, do you think he's fighting August 15th and coming back by the end of the year? I mean, I guess if it's a really quick fight, but
it's not going to be a quick fight, I don't think.
It's not going to be. Do you fancy his chances, PT?
I think he has a chance, absolutely. I think, look, Islam's the best fighter in the world. It's a huge task. He'll test Ian in a way that we thought Bilal would, and he didn't. So I'm interested to see how it plays out, but I think Ian can have a lot of success if he sticks to his long range on the outside. Absolutely. We've seen him do this time and time again. It's just a different beast across the cage from. Understandably, Islam is the favorite, but absolutely wouldn't rule Ian Garry out, especially after, the week we've just had. Poatan and Ilya Topuria. I mean, how could you rule the dude out at this stage? I mean, I think he has as good a chance of any of the guys in that welterweight ranks. It's just that Islam is just so good.
That's a great point. What about you, GC? You fancy his chances? Do you think he's got a shot?
I don't know if I fancy them. I don't think I'd make him the favorite, but he's certainly live. To Pete's point, there's no definitive outcome that I can say in this sport that I feel good about anymore. With Hamzat losing, Ilia Topuria losing, it's too unpredictable. Everyone has a fighting chance.
As UFC 330 draws closer, the conversation has become impossible to ignore. Across podcasts, breakdown shows, and fight analysis panels, the general feeling among many experienced observers is that Ian Machado Garry is facing the toughest challenge of his career. This is not because Garry lacks talent, quite the opposite. It's because standing across from him is Islam Makhachev, a champion who has repeatedly forced elite opponents into uncomfortable positions and made world-class fighters look ordinary. That is why so many respected voices believe Garry's road to victory is far narrower than many fans initially expected. At first glance, the matchup creates genuine intrigue. Garry is one of the sharpest technical strikers in the division, known for his movement, patience, and ability to control distance. He rarely rushes into exchanges and has built his reputation by forcing opponents to fight at his pace. His footwork allows him to create angles instead of backing straight up, and his confidence under pressure has become one of his defining traits. Those qualities have helped him climb through increasingly difficult competition and convince many fans that he belongs among the sport's elite. But this fight presents an entirely different puzzle. Analysts within the combat sports community have pointed out that Makhachev doesn't simply beat opponents with one particular weapon. He changes the entire rhythm of a fight. Even before securing a takedown, his constant pressure forces opponents to make decisions they normally wouldn't make. Every step backward risks being trapped against the fence. Every strike thrown creates an opening for a level change. Every defensive adjustment becomes another opportunity for Islam to take control. That psychological pressure may end up being just as important as the physical battle. One reason several respected voices have leaned toward Makhachev is the champion's remarkable ability to remove an opponent's strongest weapon. Throughout his championship run, he has consistently taken fighters away from the areas where they feel most comfortable. Dangerous strikers suddenly hesitate to throw combinations. Aggressive grapplers struggle to establish dominant positions. Experienced veterans become reactive instead of proactive. That pattern is difficult to overlook. Garry's greatest strength has always been his ability to dictate range. He prefers long exchanges where his speed, timing, and precision gradually wear opponents down. His striking is built on discipline rather than chaos. Instead of loading up on every punch, he often scores through clean combinations, intelligent feints, and calculated movement. Against many opponents, that style has proven extremely effective. Against Makhachev, however, maintaining that preferred distance may become one of the biggest challenges of the fight. Islam rarely gives opponents the luxury of fighting comfortably from long range for extended periods. His pressure is measured, not reckless. He cuts off the cage rather than chasing. He closes distance behind intelligent positioning instead of wild attacks. Once opponents begin worrying about the takedown, their striking often changes without them even realizing it. Their stance becomes wider, their output slows, their reactions become increasingly defensive. Those small adjustments can completely alter the direction of a fight. The general sentiment among professionals who have studied this closely is that Garry cannot afford to spend long stretches simply reacting to Islam's forward pressure. If he allows the champion to establish control early, the fight could quickly begin moving in Makhachev's preferred direction. That doesn't mean Garry is without answers. One of the biggest reasons this matchup remains fascinating is because Garry possesses several qualities that could create genuine problems. His movement is difficult to read. His ability to switch attacks between the body and head keeps opponents guessing. His striking accuracy often forces mistakes from fighters trying to pressure aggressively. If Garry can consistently punish entries before Islam closes distance, the complexion of the fight could change dramatically. Another important factor is composure. Many fighters become overwhelmed once Makhachev begins applying his grappling pressure. They rush their decisions, waste energy scrambling unnecessarily, or abandon their original game plan entirely. Garry has generally shown impressive patience inside the cage. Even under pressure, he rarely appears emotionally rushed. That calmness could become one of his greatest assets if he hopes to survive the difficult moments that almost certainly await him. Still, surviving isn't enough. To defeat a champion like Makhachev, a challenger must create moments that force the champion to question his own strategy. That is an incredibly difficult task, because Islam has repeatedly demonstrated his ability to make adjustments during fights. His fight IQ has become one of the defining characteristics of his championship reign. When opponents defend one takedown, he chains together another attempt. If striking opportunities appear, he willingly exchanges, If the pace slows, he patiently resets without forcing unnecessary risks. He rarely appears frustrated when Plan A doesn't immediately succeed because his game is built around multiple layers rather than one predictable approach. That versatility explains why so many experienced analysts continue favoring him. Cardio also deserves attention. Championship fights often become battles of endurance as much as skill. Makhachev has consistently demonstrated that he can maintain pressure deep into fights without abandoning his tactical discipline. That combination is extremely difficult to overcome because every minute spent defending grappling exchanges carries an energy cost. For Garry, energy management may become one of the biggest keys to victory. If he spends too much of the early fight defending clinches, scrambling off the fence, or constantly resetting after takedown attempts, his movement could naturally begin slowing in the championship rounds. Once that movement decreases, Islam's pressure becomes even more effective. This is why several respected voices have suggested that the opening 10 minutes could ultimately determine everything. If Garry survives while keeping the fight mostly at striking range, confidence may begin shifting. If Islam establishes consistent grappling control early, momentum could become extremely difficult to reverse. Another question continues, dividing the MMA community. Can Garry earn enough respect with his striking to discourage repeated wrestling entries? That may sound simple, but it is one of the biggest tactical questions entering UFC 330. Precision striking isn't always about scoring knockouts. Sometimes it's about forcing hesitation. If Garry repeatedly lands clean counters as Islam closes distance, the champion may become more selective with his entries. Even a slight hesitation could provide Garry with valuable space to operate. On the other hand, if Makhachev absorbs those shots comfortably and continues walking forward, Garry may find himself fighting almost entirely on Islam's terms. Championship experience is another area where many professionals see an advantage for Makhachev. There is a noticeable difference between competing in high-level fights and carrying the responsibility of defending a title under enormous pressure. Islam has repeatedly experienced that environment. He understands the emotional demands of preparing for massive championship events. He knows how to remain patient when momentum shifts. Those experiences cannot easily be replicated. Garry has risen impressively through the rankings, but championship moments often reveal entirely new challenges. That doesn't mean he cannot rise to the occasion. Many great champions have earned their defining victory by defeating an established title holder when the odds seemed stacked against them. Every dominant reign eventually reaches a fight where someone believes they have discovered the blueprint. The question is whether Garry has truly found one. Those who follow the sport carefully are not dismissing this matchup simply because of Islam's reputation. Instead, they point toward the stylistic realities. Makhachev's pressure, cage control, grappling transitions, positional awareness, and ability to limit opponents' offense have repeatedly produced winning performances against elite competition. Meanwhile, Garry's path relies on maintaining discipline over 5 potentially exhausting rounds while avoiding prolonged grappling exchanges and capitalizing whenever striking opportunities appear. It is a difficult assignment. Perhaps the biggest unknown is how both fighters respond if their preferred strategy fails. What happens if Islam struggles to secure early takedowns? Can he win a prolonged striking battle? Likewise, what happens if Garry finds himself controlled against the fence repeatedly? Can he remain mentally composed without becoming desperate? Those unanswered questions are exactly why this fight has generated so much discussion. Despite the confidence many analysts have shown in Makhachev, very few are calling this an easy fight. Garry's intelligence, athleticism, and technical striking demand respect. One mistake at championship level can completely change a fight. Still, the overall consensus remains remarkably consistent. Most professionals believe Makhachev possesses more paths to victory. He can pressure without rushing. He can wrestle without becoming predictable. He can strike when necessary. He has demonstrated championship composure in the biggest moments, and his ability to adapt during fights continues, separating him from nearly everyone else in the sport. For Garry, the margin for error appears significantly smaller. He must control distance consistently, defend wrestling efficiently, conserve energy, avoid extended grappling exchanges, and make every striking opportunity count. That is a tremendous challenge against one of the most complete mixed martial artists in the world. When everything is considered, the styles, the championship experience, the tactical options, and the consistency shown over recent years, it becomes easier to understand why so many respected voices are backing Islam Makhachev heading into UFC 330. My prediction is that Garry will have moments of success early with his movement and striking, forcing Islam to think carefully about his entries. But as the fight progresses, Makhachev's relentless pressure, wrestling threats, and ability to make adjustments should gradually take control. Rather than an explosive finish, this feels more like the kind of performance where the champion steadily breaks down the challenger round after round, ultimately earning either a late submission or a clear decision decision after establishing prolonged control. Of course, championship fights have a way of surprising everyone, and that unpredictability is exactly what makes this sport so compelling. Do you believe Ian Garry has discovered the formula to shock the MMA world, or will Islam Makhachev once again prove why so many professionals see him as one of the most complete champions in the sport today? Let us know your prediction in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more UFC news, in-depth fight analysis, expert reactions, and final predictions as we count down to UFC 330.